Baby.
Welcome back to, I guess we'll call it season 2 of Gravy Baby. I'm coming to you live from the inside of a Victorian girl's nightmare.
Or where she got fingered for the first time. Either way.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm in an old bedroom at my in-laws. Hope my signal's good. Hope everyone can hear me. DJ's not with us today because it's been storming.
You're good.
How else would we start the season, you know?
Mm-hmm. Is he coming back? Is he not? Is his contract still in debate? Like, is his team still arguing with Viacom? Yeah.
Yeah. He got abducted by a tornado alien.
He has been saying a lot of things.
Yeah, he's been running his mouth
They're
about
listening.
the truth of the American government. Can I just say, too, we're not going to change much. But one thing that I'll say at the top of season 2, and I'm just speaking for myself, no one else. Fuck the goddamn U.S. government. Fuck what the Israelis are doing. Fuck how they're just continuously attacking over and over again. They made those people go to fucking Rafah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Everyone should be aware of what the fuck our government is doing right now. It's disgusting. And everyone mad at college kids because they don't want their tuition money to go towards funding the murder of babies can suck my dick. That's how I want to start season 2. Now, DJ has been running his mouth about the U.S. government. He may have been disappeared. We don't know. Maybe he got recruited by China. He seemed to be pro-China and Russia lately.
There's no way. He'd rather dig a hole and live in it.
Imagine the Chinese government going to DJ and being like, listen, man, we got like 2 billion of us. Not a single one's like you. Can you come over here?
So, yes, I'm glad we got that out. I actually was at an airport when it started. The first set of protests. I was at the Seattle airport, and I got producer Mark said he was calling him leader of the goat army.
Yes.
Just him in fatigues with a goat patch on his shoulder.
The goat army gorillas.
The goat army gorillas, yeah. But yeah, I was landing there, and for some reason we go out to like where you go get picked up by a shuttle and all that shit, and there was no cars at all, and I was like, well, this seems weird. And then there was nobody was telling us what the fuck was going on too. I go, so something's happening. I don't know if it's the beginning of a threat or something's, but I was like, nobody's being allowed in here. The airport, I don't care what's, even if it's 3:00 in the morning, there's more action than what's happening right here. And
that's surreal.
Yeah. And so everything on us, so I was like, I don't know if we're in danger or something, but something bad is happening. I don't know what it is. I don't know if a fucking fugitive escaped or somebody called in a bomb threat to the airport. Something's going on. And then somebody was like, oh, they're not picking anybody up here. You have to go to the end. So we had to like walk all the way out of the airport to get to like the first regular street. And then that was when we found out everything that was fucking happening. We found out that was when they blocked they blocked the Golden Gate Bridge. The day there was multiple bridges, or the Brooklyn Bridge. It was like a bunch of bridges were getting blocked and stuff like that. And this was just one of the places where that was happening. So, it worked. Everybody fucking talked about it. Like the thing is about that was like when they're like, oh, this is so disruptive. I was like, well, that's the point of it, is to be disruptive because nobody's paying attention to it. I'm sorry like, that you're mildly inconvenienced. You know, it was the same thing. Like, oh, once I knew what it was, I was like, oh yeah, okay. As long as there's not a bomb coming, then I can walk. I have no problem. Yeah, I don't mind walking around.
I can't imagine how surreal that was though. It's like the world stopped for a second.
Because I was with 2 boys that weren't fucking paying attention to their surroundings. They're just like, I gotta drag all my merch. Oh, right? Just being boys, grumbling. And then I was like, No, this it means danger usually. But it was
Yeah.
they had a cop barricade, so I guess nobody could get into the airport. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't remember all it again because I wasn't, I don't remember all the
Well,
details.
how was tour?
Oh, it was less of a comedy tour and more like I was in a band more than anything.
I did that for years. Yeah,
Mhm.
I know exactly what you mean. That's what Well Read was like.
Mhm.
Like a band.
Yeah.
Especially if there's no. Obviously, Trey was the headliner, but yours was even less of a classic headliner feature host and more of an even thing.
Mhm.
So it's like it's very band-like.
Yeah, that was so nobody was ever. It was never like the competitive in only when I was like, oh, I see what you did, you fucking da da da. It was like more game watching game versus performing with our dicks, or I'm all fucking. I should be fucking because we also rotated out so nobody had to go to the at the end because that sucks for the second. So
most?
what did I mean, the not having to fucking think about stand up like a headliner, not have to worry about fucking tickets because all the shows were sold out -2, and even then it was like two 500-seat theaters, and we 400 on one and 250 on one on a Tuesday in Canada, in a place that we hadn't ever I'd never performed in Canada before.
Congrats.
Thanks.
That's so dope.
It was really cool. And then of course the vibe of that kind of person who would go to a show where there's inherent drug use is they're just open. They're open to whatever. They're open to you being wrong more. Because you have the caveat of that thing. But I am a completely different comedian, stoned and sober. Completely different.
And just to remind everybody, the concept of the show is you do a set sober and then you do a set stoned.
Mm-hmm. You do a set sober and then they get you wrecked and then you go back up and you do stand up. So
yeah, I am a different comedian too, where I'm like good, and then when I'm stoned, I'm bad. Unless it's mushrooms, and then it's 50-50. I've caught the spirit on mushrooms a couple times.
Ooh, me too. I was headlining. Oh man, this is some drama. I was headlining a show at a festival. I was headlining a festival in South Carolina, and the guy that was running it, you might know this, T. The guy running it ended up getting like sexual assault charges. So the festival is no more. But it was like I was headlining it.
Did he also turn super right wingy? That same guy.
I don't know. I don't know. I stopped paying attention to that guy.
His first name was it Tom?
No, it was John. I think John.
Okay.
Gibson.
Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah. But anyways, like it was like I just gotten it from another Southern comedian that told me all the things that like happen. I don't know.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Let's move on.
Yeah. But so yeah, I don't have enough of the tea, I guess, for it to be that salacious. But anyways, at the festival, I ate a bunch of mushrooms before I went on stage, and I was probably like 30 minutes in until my eyes started tearing. And then I was just like, I have to address what's happening, why I am laughing at myself, because that is like the sign of death for a comedian when you're like, oh, is it that great? Because I laugh I have a nervous laugh too sometimes when I'm on stage, so I'm like when I'm real hyped up or overstimulated. You never have to worry about it. You're always like so even keel on stage, but if I'm real hyped up, I get but it's all calculated and stuff. I'm saying if like I'm overstimulated when I go up, I will giggle my way through it because I'm uncomfortable, and laughing is like one of the things I do when I'm also uncomfortable, not just genuinely laughing. And it got to the point where I was like, I guess I have to address this, but I'm fucking wrecked on mushrooms right now. But it was awesome because I was doing well. It wasn't like it was weird or anything, but it was like, whew, yeah. I got to let you guys know how hard I'm working.
Well, let me ask you, what's gravy, baby? I mean, was it the tour? For everybody you guys listen to us every week, we haven't seen each other
In a
on
month.
video in a month. We've texted some. I have been
Through so
get
much.
into
I
it.
feel
I've
like
been
let's talk
super
about
busy.
you first.
All right. What is gravy?
Mhm.
I announced my tour, and thank you to everyone. I'm gonna be honest. Partially, I think because of the headspace I've been in lately, I was just like, well, I guess I'll fucking announce this. This is pointless. Everything sucks.
Mm.
Everybody who was like excited, everybody who's already bought tickets, thank you so much. If you haven't bought tickets, I guess I'll plug it now. I'm doing the child support tour. It's not a long tour because I want to be with my family, but I've got some dates in June, and then I've got some dates out in the fall. The June dates are Radford, Virginia, Virginia Beach, Richmond, Virginia, I think, Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, Bristol, Tennessee. I think that's all the June dates. Anyway, DrewMorganComedy.com. The dates are all up. What's gravy? I announced that, and the response was like, finally. And I was like, thank God people still give a shit. Because, I mean, you know, I've talked about this. I've been so focused on trying to, like, I don't know, do my career in LA. And then that just kind of got swept away with this move. And it was just like, because everything else has just been not hard. Like, I know that people know that there's like some difficult emotional things going on. All that's been pretty even killed.
Mhm.
The news has been either good or mediocre on
Right.
the health front. But for those of you who do manual labor, and I've done it before, I already knew this, but let me say it again. Bless your hearts. Thank you for being better men and women than me and or people beyond the binary. So from packing my stuff, driving it to this warehouse so this guy can pick up the bulk of it and the Bronco. And for everybody who told me to keep the Bronco, I did. Getting the rest of my shit home in Andy's car, then getting here, having to remodel the house that I'm moving into,
Mhm.
unpack, fix a bunch of shit I'm not super capable of fixing.
Mhm.
I have maybe relaxed 2 days in the last month. I have worked 10 hours or more at least 14 or 15 days.
Mhm.
My back hurts in new places. I've slept, it's got to the point where, you know, like there's a healthy part of like manual work too.
Yeah.
Like if you do it for 40 years, it will kill you. But if you do it for like a few months,
Mhm.
you know, you're like, oh, I only need 6 hours of sleep.
Mhm.
I go right to sleep now. I wake up exactly 6 hours later. It doesn't matter. There's no time to get drunk or fucked up or have anxiety. There's
Right.
none of that.
Yeah, you're too
It's
busy
just
surviving. You don't have time to pay attention to everything.
right.
That's why it's like when people are like, "Oh, people don't give a shit." I'm like, I know they're working at the end of the
Yeah.
day. A lot of times when people aren't participating in whatever the thing is, a lot of times they're just working and they have children and they have to they're back into surviving more so than anything else.
It's that great Bill Burr bit about people, their kids get raised, and it's like they wake up and the whole world has changed, but they didn't. They're still the person they were when their kids were born.
Mhm.
So like he did that joke about like Paula Deen and the guys from Duck Dynasty.
Right.
It's like you are a certain way in a certain place at a certain time, and then 20 to 30 years later, your kids are out of the house,
Mhm.
depending on how many you had. And then you're just like, hey, I still feel the way I felt. I haven't read it all in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
For a small version of that happened to me. I mean, even with the stuff I brought up at the top, like I was paying attention. I knew what was going on, but just in terms of feeling it, I remember I was driving to a show and I pulled over. I was like getting gas. I scrolled something on my phone. I just saw a video of like a fucking starving kid or something. And then I just started crying at a Kenjo market.
Mhm.
And it was like, oh, I just wasn't awake. What's the right word? Invested, aware. I have been completely focused on getting my house ready and my family sorted and doing things like hanging shelves and painting.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this stuff broke. So anyway, I I kind of got lost there in terms of what I was even talking to you about. What's been gravy is that knowing that like people still want to come see me do live stand up, even though it's been a long time since I've toured.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess just like getting through all that stuff, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but moving is. I think there's studies.
Change is
it's
always
like,
difficult. We don't like change. It's been proven throughout history. Change is always so. Yeah, the fact that you're going through so much change in a small amount of time is always overwhelming and stressful. And the fact that you're not losing your fucking mind or fighting with every in a lot of infighting, then I mean, I think you're being successful and malleable, which is the easiest way to transition. Yeah.
I think I read that it's like death, breakups, or divorce, and then moving. Those are like the three biggest things in terms of affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
I moved a lot when I was younger, and I was like, well, that's not true. This is the first time in my life where I was like, oh, I have to like process this properly. I have to grieve a little bit. This is wild.
Yeah.
Because I've moved probably 14 times in my life. This is the one time that I'm feeling all those things.
It was if sudden death was moving, it's sudden displacement. I mean, yeah, you didn't plan for this emotionally.
I don't think.
you didn't plan on this. You didn't have time to emotionally get your shit together before you could. Like, that's the whole thing. Like,
literally. I threw away so much stuff because it was just like, yeah, I don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
So goodbye stuff. Goodbye armoire. I don't know what that word means. Why do we have this? You get mad at yourself for having stuff.
Yeah.
Or your wife, in my case. The fuck's an armoire anyway? It's like, actually, it's a very pretty way to store things. If we don't have this, my shit will just be everywhere, and then you'll be stressed about that. But whatever. I guess we could just throw it out.
Boy, I will say, in your defense, you're in a part of the country where you can find really old, good, well-made wooden furniture and easily replace that armoire for $25 at a Goodwill. Like, that's the only thing.
Already been doing it. Facebook Marketplace is my new addiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
If people don't know where it's going down, it's going down in Facebook. We boomerang back to Facebook. That's where the revolution's happening.
Yeah. There is something to be said between like really young people. I know there's like really young people connecting with really old people.
Yeah.
Like cutting out the middleman.
Needing a dresser.
Yeah.
I met this couple who moved way up on the mountain. One was from Canada and the other one grew up in Knoxville, but had moved to Canada and then retired back here. And it was just like each other couldn't believe the other one was real. I was like, yeah, I grew up in Sunbright, but I just moved back from California. And they're like, you grew up around here and you came back? They're like, do you live on the mountain? I'm like, no, I live down in Huntsville. And they're like, oh, okay. But then same for me. I'm like, so you guys lived in Canada and you moved here to retire. A place where the closest doctor, I mean, think about what old people need. Doctors, convenient grocery stores, driveways a normal car will get up. I had to put it in fucking 4-wheel drive to get up their driveway. So I was like, yeah.
This is not good planning.
It's the Spider-Man meme. We were both pointing at each other like, are you real?
Yeah. I saw...
But anyway... Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
That's all been gravy. I saw Prof night before last, by the way. And
how was
it was so good. It was so good. I went with Key Bump and Brian and a few of my friends from here. Key Bump came up and met me. I know you're still mad you never got to meet him.
I still don't think he's real. I think it's just an acid trip y'all just
I don't think he's
have.
real anymore after this. Because, all right, I don't want to get too far into it, but Prof was incredible. I did do that thing where I drank without eating.
Oh, classic.
Halfway through the show, I kind of brown outed. You know what I mean? I wasn't sloppy. I probably only had 4 or 5 drinks, but
yeah,
people were like, "Oh, you remember when you?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that."
Yeah, I was having a good time, wasn't I?
Andy got to go out. She had a great time. This is funny. There was a guy who looked just like Prof in the audience.
Mm.
And it would be not like exactly like, it just was sort of a joke. And people were like, oh shit, it's Prof. So he
Right.
started signing autographs.
Mm.
But he was signing it like, he gave me Mariah Carey's autograph.
Oh, nice.
And I do vaguely remember doing this. I was like, sign my wife's tits.
Oh, no,
And-
Drew.
Yeah, no, she's fine. She loved it. She signed it Tweety Bird, I think.
Mm.
But Andy, because she feeds the baby all the time now, sort of eventually just got her whole tit out. It's like, you can just sign the top part, you know, but she was just like, oh yeah. It was so funny. And then, of course, that dude.
They're tools
was like,
now,
"Holy
Drew.
shit."
They're tools. They are no longer methods of seduction. They're fucking tools, homie.
Well, she made fake Prof's night, dog.
I bet. I bet.
He was like, oh yeah. He was,
Listen,
like,
those
trying
are
to be
some nice
respectful and,
tools.
not touch it, you know what I mean? And then like
Yeah.
there was just a nipple almost hitting him in the eyes.
Hilarious.
Oh,
She should have
another tit
squirted
story.
his ass. Just gave him a.
Okay. Another tit story that's so funny.
Okay.
My mom was watching the kid. That's the other thing that's been great because everybody's getting to hang out with the baby and we're getting to take naps. My mom was watching the kid. Andy feeds quite regularly, so she gets full if the kid's not there. I was working on the porch and she walked up to the window
Mm-hmm.
and put her tits on the glass to fuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And when she did, some milk came out, which she thought was funny. So she started squirting the window. So I got my phone out to tape it. No one can ever see this tape, but I can tell people about it. I got my phone out to tape it. When I did, there's men here working on my in-laws' house, and my in-laws' house is like 45 feet from where I'm living.
Yeah.
You can hear one of them audibly say in the video, as she's squirting the window, they even let kids play dodgeball anymore. It's too woke.
What a hilarious place to be. Oh my God.
That's where I'm at culturally, guys. And some of you are there too. And some of you know about it. And some of you have no idea. But where I'm at is workers sit around. I heard him the other day talking about Dylan Mulvaney.
Mm.
They were calling Dylan. This is what they were saying. The Bud Light tranny. Other than that, they weren't being particularly mean.
Mm-hmm.
They were being kind of like, is the word tawdry? Like they were kind of being like, I mean, hell, you drink enough Bud Lights. I mean, she ain't not pretty. And then a few of them would be like, oh man, you're queer. You know, I'm just listening to construction workers. Those are the two main takeaways I've gotten so far.
Yeah.
Half of them would fuck Dylan Mulvaney, and one of them thinks they don't let kids play dodgeball anymore.
What a wide range.
They contain multitudes, Carmen.
Yeah.
Not many teeth. Not trying to do it. Like literally, one of these men has no teeth, and he smokes cigars all day, and he's got the funniest laugh in the world.
They do. Producer Mark says they do.
They do what?
They do play dodgeball. The kids are still allowed to play dodgeball.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was close to Mark's heart. That's the one thing that would make Mark vote Republican in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
They take dodgeball from him.
If they take dodgeball from him, he'll heel turn for sure.
Yeah, Mark will be out there with a fucking snake on his shirt.
Don't
the snake
dodge.
has hands so he can catch.
Don't dodge
dodgeballs.
on me.
Don't dodge on me. Dodge the draft till they let us dodge balls.
Yeah, exactly. That's wild. That's so wild.
Dude, you have
Well,
no idea.
when I think about it though, like because we have like outlets to like talk to each other about ideas and stuff like that. It's gotta be the construction site / work, and more so the construction site because it's not a place that is particularly heavy in HR, you know. But it's just like when my uncle's has a plumbing contracting company, and it was just the same. Like the job site is the only time you ever talk to anybody all day. So it's like, that's who you have to discuss these things. And if you get people that, I don't know, don't pay attention very much or whatever, it goes back to what you were talking about where that's where the wondering happens, Drew, is while they're banging.
Out loud. hey, would you guys fuck Illinois? Because I'm going to be honest with y'all. You give me nothing but that. I was at Walmart. I was with my nephew.
There's one in the back. Walmart, they're putting something in the beer. I know it.
Yeah. Well, I got one of them. Mm-hmm. This is a Sam Talent joke.
Okay.
One of them, literally, this was a different guy, but I was in the car with this guy who was helping me move a thing. And he was drinking Coors Light. I don't remember how all this happened. I had a Modelo. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'll drink about anything but Bud Light. I don't drink them anymore after what they did.
Oh, wow.
And I was a little buzzed up. It was in the evening and I couldn't help it. I was like, yeah, you afraid it's going to make your dick hard? And he did not think that was funny. And Sam Talent's joke is, I'm so mad at Bud Light. I can't believe they did this. Now every time I drink it, my cock gets hard as a rock.
Yeah.
The lady place of that, what we were just talking about, is the hairdresser.
Yes.
And my mother-in-law was talking to me. She got her hair did like 4 or 5 days ago. She was making a point about a different thing, something about church. But she was saying how the hairdresser, now think about you happen to be here visiting me and you need to get something done to your hair. Mm. And I was like, this lady's great. And she is. This woman is great. She can do whatever you want. Mm. And then you went there and you heard her say to someone else, well, all this craziness over there in the Middle East.
Oh,
it
no.
It makes my heart rejoice because I know we're that much closer to the Lord coming back.
Oh, my God. That's that Jackie Cation bit. People that want to speed up the end of the world to get to the rapture. No.
That's literally what this lady was talking about. And that was what my mother-in-law was, to her credit, complaining about. My mother-in-law believes in all that stuff, but is like, why you want to speed it? Like, my mother-in-law's stance is like, well, we're going to lose people.
Yeah.
Like, that's God giving up on us. That's a bad thing, even from a Christian's perspective.
Right.
And I was like, it's also nuts. So we talked about that. If we talked about how it's insane.
Yeah.
Do you think many Israelis are aware of how many people from where I'm from support them just because they think they're going to bring on the apocalypse? They actually don't care for Jews at all. It's just that in the Bible, before the apocalypse happens, the Jews have to return home.
Maybe,
Do you think they're
maybe
aware of that?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're in the middle of their own battle. They're not really thinking about us unless.
I think they think about American support and how to get it.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's Israel. Is that you asked me about the people? I don't know that the people are going. I wonder if somebody in rural Tennessee is thinking about me. Like, I don't think that thought is happening at all.
Okay. I guess the way to ask it is, they are aware they have support from America in some capacity. Mm-hmm. Are they aware that some of that is based on an apocalyptic prophecy? That's such a funny shit.
It really is. It really is. I'm going to give you this money and know that it's because I think this is the end of the world. Like, I mean,
I know you're going to start it. Mm-hmm. Start it. Go ahead. Murder everybody. Here's some nukes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. I definitely don't think that people are thinking about it being the end of the world, other than the fact that it feels like it in the middle of
Well,
that.
everyone raised the way I was raised. We're all having this. Everyone raised the way I was raised, but then who ended up the way I've ended up, like gotten educated, whatever, however you want to phrase it. There's this weird broken part of us from that time in our lives going like,
Shit, were they right?
God, they're right. Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's. Go ahead.
That's the scariest thing. I used to have a bit about it. Like, what if you get to heaven and it just sucks?
Mm.
Like there aren't any gays there.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, that was always kind of my. It didn't like. Why? I guess that kind of thinking was never attractive to me. Was because I was like, you guys are the least fun human beings. Why would I ever want to spend eternity with you when you're like, you can't do this, you can't like all of the people you're complaining about bring me way more joy than you or this storybook has. So
yeah,
or
I didn't
the
know
promise
any people other than those people.
Right. That's why. I mean, that sucks.
Well, and that's why I think I had an unhealthy rejection of it. Yours was healthy. Yours was like, I'm too cool for this shit. I'm gonna do the other thing.
It just didn't make. It wasn't that I thought I was too cool. It was just illogical to me.
You are though. You're literally, but that's literally you describing being cool, where you're going like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I was going.
I mean, I tried to.
I believe this with my whole heart, and it's awful. Genuinely terrified. Genuinely hated all, like, with my whole little 9-year-old heart. I was like, you die and you go to heaven or hell, and that's super real, and that's the worst thing I know. So I can't believe that you live forever either way. These both suck. These are the worst two options I've ever heard of. One is literal hell for eternity, and the other one's like kinda okay.
Yeah. Just for me, it was like how the balls and the arrogance. It's always like it was just as like incredulous to me as someone saying that like we're alone in the universe. Like it was just like the fact that you don't know and you're in your fucking 10 toes in the ground. For sure, this is how it is. I mean, it's the same thing with, I feel like that way with hardcore atheists, hardcore anybody. It's just 10 toes, really, in the ground. You know, for matter of fact, what the fuck's gonna happen. No. I just don't believe you. I believe that you feel that way. I believe that you believe that. But the fact that it's just arrogant. It's arrogant to believe that there's no other life form out there. It's arrogant to believe that the earth is flat. It's arrogant to believe, like, once you have new data, just go by the new data because we don't fucking know. You know?
Do you have things that you feel 10 toes in the ground about? Do you feel like?
I guess harm.
Don't be harming people.
Not to be harmful. Yeah. I mean, I think I always thought, like, when I was a kid, I always thought, because my dad's like genuinely insane. Like, I think he was like looking to save himself and like was constantly in different religions, like Catholicism, but he was divorced, so he couldn't go to this. Like he studied with Jehovah's Witnesses. He was also like, I think maybe this was all to kind of like make up for the occult / Santeria shit that he was in. So he was always like trying to find it. And I was like, I would read this. I would do the Bible studies with him. I mean, I used to go to a Pentecostal church because my boyfriend was and got baptized. Like I committed to the bit and listened to all of those things. But to me, the Bible just seemed like Beowulf. It seemed like a really long, epic story to get you to not be as much of a piece of shit. So, and like some of it, I was like, this is dated material, just much like Beowulf. This is dated material, but there's still plenty of good notions in it. Yeah. Okay. Have you seen these bugs? They're delicious with the red sauce on them. I love a shrimp. So yeah, and shaving your beard, all that stuff is like, okay, this is way more of the time period than anything else. But, don't being kind to others and like being willing to help someone who is in need, like all of those concepts that are in there without all of the weird you're gonna die shit is way more, it was way more helpful. But just like you could get the same thing from a fucking Pixar movie. Oh, don't be a piece of shit. You know, help those in front of you. Use the means that you have to assist others. Like all of those concepts, they could have easily come from any other book as well. There was just a lot of them, and if there's only one fucking book allowed that's being circulated, when, you know, again, contextually, it makes sense. And all, but at the same time, once you have history books that aren't religious, then you have documentation of these. This was a way to govern. The Bible was just the first way to govern people. So it's like, okay, we get that. I mean, this is an old school way of doing it, but all right. So that's always been my relationship with it. Is I think it's a way to look at life. Much like, you know, the Quran or any other organized religion is I don't like the organization part of any of them. So I feel
healthy?
I feel like I'm way more of a, do I believe in, I think I've watched things that seem miraculous. Was that chaos or was that calculated? I don't know, but I can appreciate it for what it is. So it's like, I still hope for it, you know, and then there's all the other theories. Like, I think it's because I was introduced to like Joseph Campbell and Siddhartha and all of these other things that were around the same time where I was impressionable and making up my own decisions. Where it was like, because at the end of the day, my dad didn't push anything too hard because he didn't have a place to be like, this is it, but push this. And I think had he would have, you know. But my mom was also anti all of it because she grew up Catholic, and then she wasn't accepted anymore because she had gotten a divorce and had a child, and they were like, oh, we're not fuck you, we don't, and it was like, oh, okay, well then fuck you with everything. And then that's her impression of organized religion. So she's been against it from the jump. But she never expressed that until now. Maybe. I don't know if it's healthy or not to not feel like you're part of a tribe. So. And that's kind of where they get you.
Oh, right. Yeah. That is part of that. Well, that is also like why religious people live longer, they think. Religious people seem to have like longer lives, and they think it's because they have generally more community. Mm-hmm. Because they go to the church together, they do that. I've had this conversation on Well Read with Corey, and I don't want to retread it too much, but in contrast to what you just described, one of the issues I think for me was my mom is one of those like actual Christians. Mm-hmm. My mom is a very lovely and loving person.
Yeah.
Who tries very hard to lead with love. My dad, he's a lot more logical and a lot less nice on the surface, but he also is a very genuinely faithful man. And we went to some churches when I was very young that in retrospect were nightmares. But then we found a church that happened to be very close to my house. Literally, I would walk to church where, do not misunderstand me, I'm certain that if you walked up and asked the members there, how do you feel about abortion? How do you feel about gay people? There would be answers that I don't agree with.
Sure.
But that wasn't part of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
The only like thing that I remember growing up that affected me negatively or made me kind of pause was just like the constant reminder that if you don't get saved, you're going to hell and burn forever. And that's going to happen to your loved ones or whatever if they don't do right. And like that was mortifying for a kid. But my point is, I've talked about this with Corey, where he went to one of those churches where like they told everyone to stop watching Disney at some point. You know, it was like, if you're going to go to this church, we are not watching Disney. And his dad was like, that's fucking stupid. Like, that company owns ESPN. Are we going to stop watching ESPN, Pastor? I didn't have any of that at that age where I could go, oh, maybe these people are fallible. These people loved me, still love me. They're still sweet to me when I see them. And in some ways, that made it all harder. Because as the stuff started to unravel for me logically, I couldn't, like, also be like, yeah, fuck these people. it was like, yeah, but they're so good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like, I guess that's one of the reasons why I don't hate Christians, is because it's still such a broad statement. I mean, you're including people that go to church once a year for Christmas, and then you know, and people who are like the Westboro Baptist Church people. Like, it's a whole range of human beings.
Yeah.
So I don't like making like large swathy statements like that, probably because my when I was a kid, my dad made me write a fucking essay about stereotypes and prejudice and all that stuff. And to me, it didn't apply to just race, it applies to all things. So it was like making any kind of broad statements about any kind of person always just seemed ignorant. And maybe to a fault, because I mean, we talked about the guy and I forgot that was so. Did we ever bring it up that somebody that listens to the podcast knew the guy that sat down with the KKK people?
Oh no, we didn't. I'm on my phone today because, as I said, I'm behind and I'm still not set up, so I can't go look without like going away.
What was it on Instagram? Was it on the grams?
I think they DM'd me. Though.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if I go look at it, I'll disconnect, I think. So I'm not going to
No,
do
yeah,
it.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Somebody we know knew that guy, said he was incredible, said he was like this very interesting, intelligent man.
But to me, as a Bible story, that's the guy going in the lion's den. It's like those stories still have like good themes and I think helpful ideals and stuff like that to live it. Like, but for me, it was about like, and I think this was part of the reason I was always partial to like motivational speakers and like a lot of black preachers and stuff like that. The message was always more less fear driven and more positively driven. Like, we're seeking joy. Like, at the end of the day, we're seeking joy, and you don't have anybody fuck with your joy, all of that. And then that's like what the Lord would be providing. So like all of those kind of big concepts I fuck with. But I don't fuck with you in making somebody else's life any unavailable to those things. Cause at the end of the day, we don't know. And without the knowing, then yeah, you don't get to tell someone they're not allowed to be happy. I'm sorry. You don't get to start a country and then be like life, liberty, and the pursuit of fucking happiness, and then cock block the happiness. Cause we ain't getting liberty, baby. So we have life and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, you do get to, but you shouldn't be able to. But it turns out you do get to. Speaking of pursuing happiness in the mouth of the South, right at the buckle of the Bible Belt, I can't wait. I don't want to build it up too much for myself or for you guys, but next time we get together, I'll be able to tell you how it went. I'm doing a show where like, it doesn't pay a lot. I'm not like they don't announce who the comics are. Mm-hmm. I just said yes because I want to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do a show at a tickle-themed play party in a pretty redneck town outside of Knoxville.
A tickle-themed play party?
So I'll be the entertainment with dinner, and then it's like a sort of, I guess, a BDSM club or some sort of kink club.
Yeah.
And they do different nights. You know, they might do bondage or spanking or whatever, but this night is tickling. My assumption is it's the same people. Some people will be into tickling. Mostly people are just there to like be swingers or whatever it is that they got going on. Maybe they're not swingers. I don't know. I am over the moon that I'm going. You want to talk about the Lion's Den, but I'm going to. If it's not swinger, it's definitely like kink forward. A kink forward space. Mm-hmm.
The closest thing to the dungeon in these parts
I grew up in. Yeah, I'm going to a dungeon in the town, in the culture, not the town, the culture I grew up in. I'm pretty hype. You may never see me again.
Why? Are they gonna tickle you to death? Like, what are you worried?
I'm finally gonna start a church. All this like, I'm with you, no 10 toes down. I'm gonna put my 10 toes down and let somebody rub them with a feather. I'm going to get in there and just be like, oh, I found my flock.
And the Lord said unto me, coochie, coochie, coo. I still think tickling is funny, even though it's not an arousal thing for me, but I still love it. I tickle Bobby all the time. He hates it. Oh, it brings me so much joy how much he hates it. And then
Yeah,
I don't want it
that,
to be done back either. I don't fucking don't.
I'd say you're probably not as far as you think though from being able to get into it as a kink because you're just describing power play.
Yeah.
Like really? Like I do it, you can't do it to me.
Yeah.
Like what's that? It's that Tennessee Williams, I think, quote. It's how does it go? Everything in the world is about sex except sex. Mm-hmm. Sex is about power. Mm-hmm. Man. Tennessee Williams is fucking spitting, dude. Turns out that guy, yeah. He'd like this room.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he would.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, if you ride a streetcar named Desire, this is where you get home to at night. Mm-hmm. Streetcar named Desire, this is a bedroom called Regret.
Yeah,
well,
go ahead. Well, what?
I was going to say, I'll let you punt. Now you got to tell me what's been bringing you joy. Even if it's just like your favorite stop on tour or whatever. I know you've been busy.
It was exciting to go to Canada to do stand because again I never performed in Canada before. That was super exciting. We got stopped at the border because one of the comics had a couple of joints on him, and in true Canadian fashion, they were so passive aggressive about it. Where I was like, "It's legal here, you know. It wouldn't even be a thing if your country was." And I was like, "Really?" And then they're like, well, yeah, we have to go incinerate it now. And I was like, well, why don't you give it back to us and we'll incinerate it?
Yeah.
You're going to waste it? Come on, man. Don't waste it.
I mean, it sounded to me like he said he was going to go smoke it.
I know. We have to go destroy it and incinerate it. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Let's incinerate it. But it was fun because, it really was like a band situation where we got to just, I didn't have to worry about the selling the tickets part. And it was like so joyous to just be a fucking comedian and not have to, bear the crown of thorns that is headlining, where you have to think about all the aspects and all the marketing, and it really sucks all the fun out of it. So I just got to
Child support tour.
Yeah.
TrueMorganComedy.com. The crown of thorns. That's what I should have done, a Ricky Gervais style photo shoot for it.
Yeah.
What about how we just let him pretend like he didn't do that?
I don't know. I think everybody's like, oh, he's British. Maybe that's what they do. I think that was it is. I think it was American ignorance to where it was like, no, they're not all douches like this. Why are you guys acting like that?
Are you saying that British people are culturally narcissistic? Like they all have a messiah? I mean, it would explain Russell Brand too. Did you know he is Christian now?
Well, yeah. I mean, his heel turn, he's got to commit to the bit. If he's going to keep that audience, I
hear you, but like, wow.
He's not Christian though. I mean,
oh yeah, I know.
He's culturing it. That's all he's doing is culturing it.
Right, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, we've all said some version of, man, if we didn't have any scruples, we could just pretend to be one of those people and like, with our skills on the mic and, blah, blah, blah. But you just like, you wouldn't think anyone would actually do that if they were already kind of had a name. You know what I mean?
Right.
It feels like a desperation move, which I guess he felt desperate, but that's crazy.
Yeah. Yes to both things. Yeah, that's crazy. And yeah, I think he was desperate. So, I don't know. I mean,
I'd like to go to a lock-in with him, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a thing growing up, that you dating that guy, you may have experienced this, where they would have someone come testify to the youth about the dangers of like drinking or drugs or partying. Mm-hmm. But like, and I've always wanted to do a bit about this. It never worked because it sound like this was probably the first time in my life where I was like, oh man, it sounds way rad not to be a Christian. Because these people be like, it was a different girl every night.
Yeah.
I would party for days. I met rock stars. You're like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
We just got MTV a month ago. What the fuck are you talking about? You're saying if I stop living right with the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
I get to fuck chicks and do drugs and party all the time? So my point is, imagine Russell Brand shows up trying to convince teenagers at like a lock-in that they should turn away from what he did in his youth and then tries to make it sound unawesome.
Meanwhile, they're watching fucking Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and he's playing the rock star.
Yeah. No, Gallagher was my best friend, mate. I fucked a different bird every night. I got to be super famous. I'd go on talk shows and embarrass people and got called good looking. It was horrible.
It was the worst years of my life.
The worst years of my life was spent doing orgies. While I was on drugs I can't even pronounce that no one's ever tried before.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That sounds awful.
Yeah. The only thing that saved me was that they tried to take fame from me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fame is dangerous because it gave me everything I wanted.
I always said that about stand-up. Stand-up comedy is given me everything I've ever wanted and taken away everything I've ever needed.
God, you sounded like one of them right then.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that to a 14-year-old. It doesn't sound the same to them. That's the thing. When you hear that at 40, you go, oh, that sounds scary and awful. When you hear that at 16, you're like, all I heard was the everything I ever wanted part.
Yeah.
I'll do it better than you. Look at you. You fucking
don't know
old
what you're
loser.
talking about. Yeah.
God, you were in fucking movies with P. Diddy, dude. You suck, Russell Brand. I'll be the one.
I think that's where the absolute power corrupts absolutely is, that because it's that delusion. It's the delusion that power won't be, you'll handle it differently. I think that's the thing I've learned once I got older, and I think that's part of the reason why pursuing a lot of these things isn't really as attractive as maybe it once was. Is like, oh, all of you. All this is how wealth affects all of you, and influence. You all end up doing the same thing. I mean, unless you're Keanu Reeves. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say on that note, I also sometimes actually think it's sort of the reverse. In order to get to that level, there's some examples like Keanu where it might just be like a mix of luck and talent. For the most part, there's got to be a level of ruthless there where I don't know if wealth and influence corrupted them. I mean, I do think that's true of a lot of people. Or they were just that's why they went for the wealth and influence, because they were such pieces of shit.
Sure.
Because, as you know, even in comedy, which is like way down on the pole compared to like acting or, big business or whatever, it's so ruthless, it's so cutthroat to get to the top.
Mm.
What's driving you? I don't think a love of stand-up will drive you to be that ruthless. I think a love of fame and yourself. Yeah. So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it cuts both ways. I think wealth and influence corrupt people, and then I think corrupt people chase wealth and influence.
Yes.
Hell yeah, dude. What a great answer you said.
Yeah,
yes.
Thanks. Yep, I agree. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Something profound and deep, but also in under 90 seconds so we can place it on a reel and gather wealth and influence.
Sick point, bro.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I've just seen it happen too many times. And it doesn't seem like or if anybody is becoming wealthy / powerful, and it's not corrupting them. Maybe it's because they're not anywhere we can see them. Because I do think I think that's the other part of it too, is like, if that's not something you're chasing, you're just trying to get X amount of money and then actually pull out, you're going to pull out and then you're not going to be influenced. You know what I mean? You're going to have your farm in Idaho and be off
You're leaving the power
Yeah,
behind.
you're just leaving it behind, which, I mean, that's always what everybody's like Chappelle's dick about, was walking away from something like that when you're being enticed to stay and chase it. And I do think being able to do that takes a lot of bravery in itself.
Yeah.
But at
And then getting your dick sucked for doing it turns out one of the most corruptible things ever.
Yes, that's what I was going to get into. Is like, I don't know if the aftermath would have been just as it just seems like you still got the same thing, but was it from the money?
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Carmen Morales thinks Keanu Reeves is hiding something. We just don't see enough.
I hope
of him,
not,
but
man.
there's
And maybe it's
something
just
going
another
on.
Mr. Rogers situation. Sometimes they're not a pedophile. Sometimes they just genuinely want joy.
He shoots dogs. You know how like that British kid show guy was a pedophile?
Yeah.
Since Keanu's always loves dogs and is the John Wick
Mhm.
franchise, he shoots dogs. That's Keanu's secret. He's just beating dogs all day long.
He's got a side business where he euthanizes them for free. He's like, I just love
but he
it when the
tortures them
life.
first.
Yeah, I just love it when the life
clip
leaves
this,
their eyes.
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Up this mark. Keanu Reeves, dog torturer. Makes Michael Vick look like that Sarah McLachlan ad.
In the arms, he's just,
Of the death angel?
Of the death angel.
Yo, that fucking...
He's just
That
got a
Republican
puppy in a
lady-
headlock. Which Republican lady? There's so many.
Her book came out. She
Christy?
bragged about murdering her family dog.
Christy Noam.
Yeah, she bragged about murdering her family dog, and even her party in the weird state that it's in right now was like,
That's a bit
nah,
much.
fuck her.
Yeah. That's a bit much.
Then she tried to act like she's like, well, I had a ghostwriter. A lot of that wasn't even true. And then somebody was like, yeah, well, you read the audiobook yourself, so like, you can't
Yeah.
act like you didn't sign off on
This isn't the first time you skimmed this or had someone skim it for you. I think if anybody was part of your campaign, they would have been like, maybe don't do the fucking kill the thing. And producer Mark says, and she killed the family goat, the dog and the goat. Now it seems more like a child's limerick to keep you from like associating with strangers. You know, and then I met a witch and she killed a dog and a goat and invited me to her house made of porridge or whatever.
Well, yeah, I think it was also, it wasn't just that she killed the dog. It was like she did it because it was like not learning how to sit or something. Do you know what I mean?
It was bad on
Like,
a
a
hunt,
lot of-
producer Mark said. It was like it wasn't.
Right.
This
She
dumb
just, like,
fucking
was like-
dog won't grab my
Yeah.
goddamn duck. So now I'm going to shoot the dog like I shot the duck.
Yep, that's 100% it. And, you know, growing up where I grew up, I'm not going to act like people didn't kill dogs all the time. It'd
Oh,
be like,
yeah. I mean,
this
it's a
straight-
big
stray dog
cultural
came
difference,
around.
too. A lot of Latin folks, like a lot of people of color I know don't think about animals the way Americans think about
Right.
animals, pets. Yeah.
But like a dog would come around, it was mangy, or, oh, what if it has rabies? All right, we're going to kill this dog.
Mm.
But like bad on a hunt, I mean, that's also bad business, which Republicans hate. Sell the dog. Lie and say it's good at hunting and sell the dog.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Or
That's a good place to
hire a
end.
better trainer. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I'm sad
literally
that we
do
didn't get to talk
anything
about.
other than bragging about it.
I know, right? Exactly.
What are you sad we didn't get to talk about? Let's talk about it.
I guess it's probably done now, but the Kendrick Lamar and Drake,
Oh yeah, the beef.
Well, it's not at this point. It's not even like imagine people Cupid shuffling to your demise. Like it's so incredible.
I just messaged that.
People
I said,
are
imagine
electric.
someone called you a
People are
pedophile.
electric sliding on your fucking grave,
said-
dude.
What I said, I texted it to Corey Trey and Smart Mark. I said, imagine people call you a pedophile. Someone calls you a pedophile. Now imagine the coolest people in the country are dancing to that person calling you a pedophile. And for people who don't know about the beef, it was kind of one-sided, but a little closer. But the big knock on Kendrick is everybody was like, but these aren't hits. These raps are incredible.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm not making a hit on purpose. You want a hit? Okay.
And he made it.
And then he made a hit.
And it is genuinely a great song. I've played that song like 7 fucking times.
It's like, I can't. Yeah. Oh, producer Mark is upset. He said, who's Smart Mark? What does that make me? You're producer Mark.
You're producer Mark.
He's giving me a shitty look. Don't make me play the Kendrick Lamar song, Mark.
You're farmer Mark.
You're
tractor
farmer
Mark.
Dodgeball. You're dodgeball Mark. What are you talking about? You're likes
DB
to
Mark.
ski a lot. Fucking Aspen has a husky Mark.
Yeah, Smart Mark is a miserable person. He acknowledges that himself. He got that nickname before we ever met you, and not from me, for the record.
To be fair,
Mark.
I hope you heard that. Oh yeah, he had to put his headphones on. Now he's upset.
Should I say it again?
Should we call him also Smart Mark?
What about Smarter Mark?
Ooh, now he's liking it. He's digging it.
Yeah. Smarter Mark. Brought to you today by Smarter Mark.
Pew pew pew.
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh my God. There's so many quotable parts of it. And my stupid neurodivergent brain keeps getting fucking echolaliated into reciting all of those different, the fucking run for your life. I mean, like all of it. I'm walking around the apartment going, oh, V-ho, and then I'll hear Bobby in the other room go, oh, V-ho. It's nonstop. I can't get it out. Oh.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Well,
I love that it's getting to the point where the money's getting involved, where they're like, okay, you gotta stop calling him a pedophile. You're costing all of us money, including Nike. We're very upset.
And I'm sure Kendrick is like,
Oh.
no.
Exactly.
Unless.
No, not even unless. Not even unless. He's just saying hard no. He's saying hard no.
I bet there's a number.
Not
Partially
only is he saying hard no, he also took the copyright off of all of his music so everybody could use it for free.
I know, but I bet there's a number they could pay him to get him to stop, and not even on some sellout shit. He literally said this is what he's going to do.
Okay.
He literally said, I'm going to extort you.
Yeah.
So it's like a double win if he's like, all right, yeah, I'll stop. No. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
Give me $400 million.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what Drake has an overall deal.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm going to go.
Yep.
I got to build a table. I got to talk to our mutual friend, Mia. I got a lot of stuff to do.
Okay. Sounds like it. Well, thanks for catching up with me. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you're not already. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Smartest producer Mark appreciates it since he's editing it. And,
if you're watching on YouTube, you can see him celebrate in the TV reflection if it's in the shot. I don't know if it's in the shot or not. It's probably not, but I just saw his hands go up in celebration. Well, the smartest Mark would have made sure that was in the shot.
He's working on it. He's a work in progress. That's why he's the smartest, is because he's still learning. But guys, make sure you join the Patreon, patreon.com/gravybabypod. I know you guys are all excited that we're still continuing the podcast. There was a lot of concern about that. I hope it's quelched. But we're here. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
We will see you next week. Also, I want to add, by next week or maybe the week after, I will make sure that there are even newer episodes up on the Patreon. We have been adding some.
Mhm.
We're going to get more into that. We're going to do it more regularly. And that's it. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
You could stick a whole ribeye in one of your back pockets. Like,